What's up, folks? Welcome back to the channel. This week is Mental Health Awareness Week, so that's what today's video is all about. That's right, I don't have any formal medical qualification to deal with mental health, but what I do have is experience in an industry where mental health has been somewhat neglected. So that's what I want to talk about this week, folks, is mental health within the construction industry, how I've dealt with it in the past, and some things that you can do to help yourself relieve stress and have a general better well-being at both work and home. So the stigma around mental health in many industries, thankfully, is fading, as we as humans are accepting more that it's okay to talk about our emotions and situations that get us down and stressed and affect our general health and well-being. Now, unfortunately, I work in an industry where I feel that mental health has kind of been put on a back burner. The construction industry is so concerned with physical well-being and not injuring yourself on site that mental health kind of gets pushed, like I said, onto the back burner. And this is a real shame. Now, I am seeing a little bit of a shift in the industry that is moving in a positive direction, but it's still not where it needs to be. So why are we stuck in the dark ages? I don't know. I don't want to say this is like a typically male thing, but I do think that because the industry is heavily dominated by men, that, you know, it's a rough environment, and it's an environment where there's a lot of strains and stresses. And I think it's just traditionally been that kind of like suck it up and carry on industry where you don't talk about anything that is getting you down, you don't talk about stresses. People seem to have that British stiff upper lip of, oh well, you know, it's just life, carry on, let's get things done, stop moaning. And this is not great, because I've looked at some statistics lately, and the amount of work hours and work days lost due to people going off with stress is colossal. So there's clear evidence that stresses and strains on our lives and our mental well-being is affecting not only ourselves, but the work that we're doing. So a little bit about me and my story. If you know that I've worked in construction for over 15 years, and around about 4 years ago, I moved from engineering, which is also a very stressful environment, stressful job to have, into project management, which was completely new to me. And whilst I took on this project management job, I was also pregnant. And throughout the whole project was getting bigger and bigger. And obviously it was my first pregnancy. And I didn't really know how to handle my emotions, having a new job, having to learn new things, whilst also growing a human. Now, if you've watched my vlogs, I did one particular episode when I was on site, and I actually recorded a little breakdown that I had due to a stressful situation. I will put the link up here for you guys, or over there, if you want to go ahead and watch that vlog. So what happened? Well, this is just one of the situations that I can talk about. The pressures of the job were getting to me. I had problems with suppliers, contractors. Some of the guys that I were working with had personal issues that were interfering with the job. I myself was under a lot of pressure. Things were going wrong on site. There was just a whole heap of stuff which you do normally get in construction. It is a very stressful environment to work in. But on this particular day, I lost it. I lost all control, and I wasn't being truthful with myself about how stressed out I was getting. And it all came to a head, and I had like a mini breakdown on site. 1 minute, I'm just gonna turn this off. So the way this episode was gonna go has changed. As you can probably tell, I just had a little bit of a wee breakdown on site. There's been a few underlying issues that I'm not happy with, as to like how things are happening, and materials and progress and labour. So yeah, kind of had a bit of a breakdown. In 12 years in construction, I have never cried on site. So today's a first, and I'm guessing it's emotions because it's really not that bad. But I wanted to kind of document this because maybe there's some women out there who have really shitty days who also break down. And yeah, who said big girls don't cry. Sometimes it's hard because you don't want to show weakness. And you think crying is a weakness, especially in front of men. But you know what? What's the difference between super angry and letting out a few tears? Not a lot. Now, all the guys I work with are super supportive, and on that day it really opened my eyes as to what can happen when you start to talk about something or even show emotion on site. They came up to me and were very sympathetic. They helped. I talked through some of the issues that I had, and together we overcome them. Now, I'm not going to say this is some amazing story where you talk about your emotions and everything gets solved, because I know that's not the case. But actually what I found is by opening up, they then too opened up about their problems. And on that particular day, I got to find out their perspectives, what was going on in their lives, and things that were stressing them out about the job. And this was so important to me because before this incident, none of us had talked about these issues, and we were all suffering silently, which is absolutely absurd. And for me, this is a really important instance where I realised that there are things happening to people in their lives outside of work which affect them. And when we go to work and we're stuck in our own little bubble and we've got all these stresses and strains on our mental health and our well-being, and in the case of construction, on our physical health too, we kind of forget that we are human. So I guess the biggest lesson that I have learned is to not be afraid to talk up and to talk to someone, whether it be someone at work or be at home. For me, this has been the biggest thing. Don't bottle things up. Let others know, and you'll be amazed at how much help is out there and advice that people can give you, and you can relate to other people. They'll start sharing stories with you about what things that they're going through, and generally, I hate to say this as my parents always said it, but a problem shared is a problem solved. I know it's not as black and white as that, but it really can help in most situations. So one of the things that I want to talk about in this video is how do we tackle these issues when there is no help at work? Well, firstly, I guess we should stick to the basic things that get advised by any kind of mental health well-being organisation. And they're really simple things that sometimes we just forget to do. Number one, get plenty of sleep. This is easier said than done, but I've seen a lot of people at work who skip sleep. Skip sleep to do whatever it is that they have to do, and you can tell when they come to work that not only are they getting stressed out with the job, but also their body can't cope because they just haven't had enough physical rest. Which brings me nicely onto physical exercise. We're currently in lockdown for COVID-19. I think everybody has started to realise how important physical exercise can be on your mental well-being. When you work in a physical job, the last thing you want to do is go home and go for a run or go to the gym. But sometimes when I've forced myself to do this, I've felt much better, and it's completely affected my mental health. Get lots of sunlight. Again, in construction, we do work outside, so this does help. But sometimes, you might be in a machine or you might be in the office all day. Just get outside for an hour. Just, walk around site and get that vitamin D that everybody needs. This one's a huge one, like take a break. There are people that work 7 days a week for like 2 weeks solid and then have a break. Or even if you've got a project on that you're being really pushed by, you put in so many hours, emails, you go home, you work, it gets crazy. You have to take a break. If you don't take a break, you're going to crack. And finally, drugs and alcohol. Yeah, we all know that these don't have great effects on your mental health and well-being. Drinking is fine, whatever. I drink on the weekends, but if you drink midweek, I have personally seen the effects this has on people, and it's not great. Now let's talk about the harder things that are sometimes a little bit more difficult to do. Connect with people and switch off. I think it's sometimes extremely hard to put phones and laptops down and to just talk to someone. I think it's massively important, and like I said, it's interesting when you make a cup of tea on site and just start talking to someone exactly what comes out about what they're going through at work and what they're going through in their own life. And this only comes from taking time out, switching off and starting a conversation. Now, sometimes the stresses in life can be fixed by doing the basic things and by talking to people, but sometimes people are going through a lot more serious issues, and for that it is so important that you go and talk to a professional. There's doctors, there's a heap of charities out there, and whilst you might think your problem is quite small, and unimportant, actually it might be quite big and something that snowballs into something quite serious. So if you feel like you can't chat to someone about your issues personally, or to someone that you know, then please pick up the phone and call a charity or go and see your local doctor. There is no shame in talking about your feelings or what you're going through. Next up, be mindful. Now, I used to see like mindfulness and being mindful on Instagram and just think, oh, man, is that just doing yoga and sitting and thinking? And what is mindfulness? But actually, when you delve a little bit deeper into it, it's generally just having time to think. So I think mindfulness is something that everyone can benefit from. Up next, this one is probably my favourite. Take a hard look at reality. Okay, so what does this mean? Sometimes I've got so stressed out in life and in work, and just driven myself crazy. And I was chatting to someone recently and they said it's very important that you look at your reality. So what does that mean? Well, sometimes you take everything on board and you attack yourself personally. You blame yourself for things that are outside of your control. Now I give more consideration to the reality that I'm in. For example, things that I cannot control that are happening, and I give myself a break from those, because it's impossible for any human to take on responsibility for everything that is happening in their lives. So this one for me is a really important one. It's one that I'm trying to do more and more, is just get a grasp on reality, figure out the things that are happening that you have no control over, and give yourself a break. Train your brain. This one has been really interesting for me, and it leads a little bit of research. I've been reading lots of books over the last 10 years, and how amazing it is that you can actually retrain your brain to deal with stress. We naturally have learnt behaviours and triggers that set things off, and we react in certain ways and we become stressed out, or we just close in or shut down. And the more you learn about your own brain and how you react to things, the more you can start to retrain it and deal with situations, whether that be stressful situations or physical situations, differently. So you might be able to find a little bit of help in books. I'm going to go ahead and write down the description, some of the books that I've read that have helped me out, and they might be useful for you too. All right, thanks for listening, folks. There's one final thing, one final plea from me of what not to do, which is please don't suffer in silence. If you're going through a difficult time right now, please reach out and talk to someone. There is always help available. All right, I hope you've enjoyed this slightly different video this week. I'm going to be back with more videos. If you want to hit that subscribe button, hit the like, turn on notifications, and I'll be back real soon.